Anyway, okay, we're in 9, we said?
Yep. The 3 woes.
Yeah, we did. No, not the 3 woes. That's Revelation.
Oh, that's wrong class.
Wait a minute. Somebody's got to adjust Shirley's button here from Revelation to Ecclesiastes.
Oh, I see what I'm doing. I'm using the wrong notes.
We did the woes last Tuesday. The 2 woes. We'll do the 3rd woe this Tuesday. I don't know if we'll get through the whole thing because it goes...
Now you're getting to the creepy part.
Oh yeah, we're into the creepy part. The scorpion guys come out and sting you and everything. Then the big ugly angel comes down. All right, we'll worry about that Tuesday night. For I have taken all of this into my heart and explain it, that righteous men, wise men, and their deeds are in the hand of God. Man does not know whether it will be love or hatred or anything, for that matter, that awaits him. It is the same for all. There is one fate for the righteous and one fate for the wicked, for the good and for the clean and for the unclean, for the man who offers a sacrifice and the one who does not offer the sacrifice. As the good man is, so is the sinner. As the swearer is, so is the one who is afraid to swear. This is an evil in all that is done under the sun, that there is one fate for all men. Furthermore, the hearts of the sons of men are also full of evil, and insanity is in their hearts throughout most of their lives. Afterward, they go to the dead. For whoever is joined with the living, there is hope. Surely a live dog is better than a dead lion. For the living know they will die, but the dead no longer know anything, nor have they any longer a reward, and their memory is merely forgotten. Indeed, their love, their hate, their zeal already have perished with them, and they will no longer have a share in all that is done under the sun. Go then, eat your bread in happiness, and drink your wine with a cheerful heart, for God has already approved the work of your hands. And let your clothes be white all the time, and let not oil be lacking upon your head. Enjoy then a life with your woman whom you love all the days of your fleeting life, which God has given you under the sun. For this is your reward in life and in your toil in which you have labored under the sun. Whatever your hands find to do, verily do it with all your might, for there is no activity or planning or wisdom in Sheol where you are going. Again, I saw under the sun that the race is not to the swift, and the battle is not to the mighty warriors, and neither is the bread to the wise, nor the wealth to the discerning, nor favor to men of ability, for time and chance overtake them all. Moreover, a man does not know his time, like fish caught in a treacherous net, or birds trapped in a snare, so also the sons of men are ensnared at an evil time when it suddenly falls upon them. Also, I came to see this as wisdom under the sun, and it impressed me. There was a small city with few men in it, and a great king came to it and surrounded it and constructed a large siege work against it. But there was found in this village a poor wise man, and he delivered the city by his wisdom. Yet no one remembers who that poor wise man is. So I said, wisdom is better than strength, but the wisdom of the poor man is despised, and his words are not often heeded. The words of the wise are heard, and quietness are better than shouting of a ruler amongst fools. For wisdom is better than weapons of war, but one sinner can destroy much good. What do you think about that? What's the problem with this thinking in this chapter? What do you think the problem is? Or what do you find that's just glaring out at you saying, this man is wrong?
Life is over. Still very hedonistic, very
Focus.
I don't know what this means.
Focusing
Okay.
Life is meaningless. We're all headed to the same place.
Yes.
Chuck is actually on the ball back there. It's his eyeballs or his vision only see to the end of his life. End o' life. End of his life. He can't see past that. You know, nothing he does or nothing he tries to wrap his head around can see past the fact that he is going to die, whether he's rich, poor, smart, not smart, a king or a pauper. You know, it doesn't make any difference. We're all going to die. So eat, drink, and be merry. Enjoy this world. God's given us this world. He is now acknowledging God, but in a unreachable way. He acknowledges God, but this God he's acknowledging is someone who cannot be persuaded to do anything. He's going to do what he's going to do, and either you can enjoy it or you can hate it, you know. But anyway, it all ends right here at the grave. I used to have a magnificent seminary professor named Bob Coleman. And Robert Coleman, he wrote the master plan of evangelism, which eventually became Evangelism Explosion and all that stuff, and brilliant man of God. And he had a big wooden thing over the door of his office, and he had a skull carved into it, sitting on a book, on a Bible. And over the top of it, it said, "All wisdom ends at the grave." And I thought about that, and I said, "Bob, you know that's not right. I know you're a man of God, and men of God see way over here past this." And he says, "Yes, but the greatest, most smartest man of all believed this is true." That, of course, was Solomon in Ecclesiastes. All wisdom ends at the grave. And a lot of people see it that way. A lot of people think, you know, eat, drink, be merry, you know, do whichever you got to do. In fact, Machiavelli not only wrote about it, but he developed an entire concept of what's in it for me theology, and a lot of people worship that theology. Nothing I'm going to do is going to be done unless there's a benefit for me. You know, and the guy, as we say playfully, the guy with the most toys at the end wins, right? Well, what do you win? You're dead and all the toys are left here. You don't take it with you. So, you see the flaw in that theology? If this is all we are, just a little bit of flesh and blood that gets to dance around the planet for 60, 80 years, something like that, then really enjoy yourself, and you're wasting your time sitting here in church. What are you doing here? Well, I'm going to assume you're here because somehow, some way, you've been convinced that we can look across this to a greater kingdom. And he says, this thinking is everybody's the same, everybody's going to get what everybody deserves, whatever. And the rich man's going to die, the poor man's going to die, the good guy's going to die, the wicked guy's going to die. And God says that's not true. There is two distinct directions. One is to be with God in heaven, reigning forever and ever, and the other one is into the lake of fire. And that's forever and ever. God not only mentions it, the scriptures not only portray it, Jesus told stories about it. Lazarus going to the bosom of Abraham up in heaven, and the rich guy going down here to the lake of fire. It's been acknowledged, it's been substantiated, it's been, held up and by everybody, including the Son of God. And even in the Revelation study, we're going to see at the very end, come judgment time, each one will stand before the throne of God. Here's the throne. Nice chair. And God's on it. Oh, I better be careful here. If I draw him too fat, he'll get mad at me. Here's God. Here's you. And each one will be judged. If his name is found in the book of life, that's over here, If your name is found in the book of life, then you take this road. If it's not, then you are judged over here according to the books of the deeds, and there's a lot more of them than the book of life. And if you're found in the book of deeds, then this is your future right there. So not only is it mentioned in the scriptures, not only is it substantiated in the scriptures, Jesus also substantiates it himself, saying, guys, I know what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. And then God, in the end of Revelation, tells John, take this back to the boys in the churches, because this is what awaits them. Right here. Right here. This is what awaits them. Every one of us, singularly before the Lord, fully known, fully exposed. Either our name's in there or it ain't. And that decision of which way we go is wholly and completely ours. Wholly and completely ours. So don't tell me, oh, I don't know how a good, loving God will send anybody to hell. He's not. You've chosen that. So that's where you're going. Now, Ecclesiasticus here, the problem with him is he sees a God, he acknowledges a God, he knows all this stuff in the world couldn't exist without a God, but he also sees this God as unreachable. This is the smartest guy in the world, remember that. Unreachable, everything ends at the grave. So, by virtue of the fact that God is unreachable, then we shouldn't even try to reach him, right? Therefore, it's kind of his fault that we don't have a relationship. That's where this thinking is going. That's what his thinking is going. So not only is he blowing God off and not trying any harder to get past the mere physical life which he sees, but he's also kind of subconsciously blaming God for not allowing him to reach him. Now, we both know from Genesis chapter 2 what happened there. God walked with man in the garden, and they had a good time. I'd call that reachable. Throughout Scripture, the whole Exodus thing, the whole Pentateuch thing, into the Kings, into the prophets, and up to and including Christ. I would say that all of these are examples of God trying desperately to reach down to us. But you see, the lazy man, the man that doesn't want to invest time or have to work to build a relationship, well, he'll just say, you know, I'm justifying all my actions because all my actions aren't going to amount to anything anyway. And I don't care how holy Barbara is or Shirley is, they're all going to die just like me. So I don't have to be holy because this is an unreachable God. Why try? Why should I make a God important to me when I am obviously not important to him? Isn't that kind of subconsciously blaming God and taking the responsibility off of my shoulders to try and ease my conscience way back here in my brain somewhere? Well, the fact of the matter is, it won't ease that. In fact, that little bit of conscience, if you have one, will do everything it can to fight against you and try and tell you to look up. Look up. Paul said that many times. Look up. Look up to those things that are good and pure and holy and righteous. They're all around you. Don't tell me there's no evidence of God anywhere. It's everywhere. It's on the end of every one of your fingers. Nobody in this classroom has this print. Just me. This is a unique print. It's worth thousands. I'm thinking of the art fair. The point I'm trying to say, the evidence that God lives is all around us, everywhere. You don't need a camel and the 3 wise guys and a Bethlehem star every week. You don't need that every week. We did that once. God came to us in the form of a human to put to rest once and for all this whole nonsense that he's unreachable. Philip still wasn't able to comprehend that, and he said, well, just show us the Father, it'll be enough. And how did Jesus respond to that?
You've seen me, you've seen the Father.
You've seen me, you've seen God. Philip, how long have I been walking with you? If you can't believe me, believe in the works that you've seen. They're all around you. How many guys you know that walk on water? How many guys you know that heal lepers and raise people from the dead? How many guys you know can take 5 loaves, or 2 loaves and 5 fish, or 5 loaves and 2 fish, whatever, and turn it into a Long John Silver's picnic? How many guys you know can do that? Can curse a fig tree and have it die 30 minutes later? Remember all those things Jesus did? Pretty cool stuff. If you can't believe in me, then for crying out loud, believe in what you've seen with your own eyes. You ever notice many of the New Testament books, particularly those of the apostles like John and Peter and James, they always start their letters off by saying, I'm telling you what I have seen, what I have touched, what I have, walked with, what I have tasted. This stuff's real, guys. I'm not making it up. I was there. And that's what God's saying. If you can't believe in my Son, Jesus, then believe on account of the works themselves. And those works have been going on all the way back to the beginning of time, when God made man for the purpose of relationship. And if you don't believe that, it's not because you can't understand it or can't believe it. It's because you don't want to. There's a difference. You can try and justify your don't want to in every kind of stupid excuse you want. You can take the woe is me, hopeless look and say, why bother? We're all going to die anyway. Well, that's partly true. As strong and as healthy as I've been most of my life, there's going to come a day where that's all going to stop and this body is going to cease to exist. At least as in the form that it is now. But I got to tell you something. I've been on the planet 66 and a half years. And I've had a pretty good time. I've done a lot of stuff that most people will never do. I've been to the bottom of the ocean in a submarine, 400 feet down. I have conquered the Mongol hordes. I have preserved the crown jewels. Well, no. Then the phone rang and I woke up. I have flown in planes. I have driven race cars at hundreds of miles an hour. I have done the submarine. I have sailed an $8 million sailboat to the Bahamas and the islands and back. And Carol almost sank it. Don't ever take your wife on a sailing ship. I've done so much stuff, scuba diving, did that. So much stuff. And I've done it with a woman I've loved. I've had a great time. And someday it will all end. But everything I've done on this planet is going to pale in comparison to what we got next. I believe. I don't understand all the Revelation stuff. I'm trying to make sense out of as much as I can. But there's a lot of stuff God ain't telling us. When He wants us to know, He'll tell us. He says, this is my Son, believe in Him, or you got nothing. He'll say, when you make that curtain, I want 7 curtain rings on that curtain, and each ring I want 7 roses, and each rose I want 7 petals carved into it. You go, well, that's pretty specific, God. But when He doesn't want you to know, you're not going to know. The day or the hour, nobody knows. Nobody knows. Well, will I see the end of time? Oh yeah, eventually. It may not be the end time as far as Revelation goes, but when you get hit by a truck, that's your end of time. Set your house in order, keep your house in order. That's what Jesus said. Set your house in order, keep your house in order. Set a priority, keep the priority. Make a commitment, just like to a husband or wife, keep the commitment. By the way, wives don't like it if you go off and play for 363 days a year and then come home 2 days, Christmas and Easter. You You stop in and say, I'm home, honey, let's do the love thing. And then boom, you're out the door the next day for 363 more days of doing whatever you want, regardless of any responsibility. But that's what we do with God all the time. Well, I went to Christmas, I go to Easter. Stop using these stupid excuses. And you can list them, there's thousands of them. None of those are going to work. And it shows not wisdom on your part, but limited thinking. In fact, stupid thinking. Why do you see the negative? Why do you see the end of the grave? Why don't you see the life you're living now? I've told you many times, when I die, I don't want a tombstone with the dates and all that nonsense on it. I just wanted to say, dear God, thanks for the visit. I had a blast. Tom. Just leave it at that. Doesn't have to say preacher, father, husband, whatever. Who cares? I just want people to know I had a blast. Thanks for the visit. You see where this guy's going? He can't see past his own mortality. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you believe in God? Okay. You know what the worst thing a Christian can say? Barb, you going to heaven when you die? They go, I hope so.
No, I'm planning on it.
Don't hope. No. Exactly. Do or do not. There is no try. No, you're going to heaven. We base our salvation on what Jesus said. I am the way, the truth, and the life. I will take you there myself. The way. I am the truth. Nothing can change this offer. It's not for a limited time. Well, it is for a limited time, as long as you're breathing. That's how long it's for. And the life. And if you follow me, you will have the life, and that life eternal. That's what God says. Look past this mortality. This is nothing. You know, we are on this earth, what, 80 years? Best? Well, you girls are a little older than that. What are you, 103 or something like that? Okay. You're on this here earth for a limited time, but when you look in the span of eternity, you know, our earth is guesstimated to be about anywhere from 5.5 to 7 billion years old. They're not sure, give or take. You know, it depends on what rock you pick up from what part of the world. Anyway, in this 7.5 billion years, your 80 years is right there. That's it. This is why David said, what is man that God should even consider him? What am I? Who am I? I'm a little speck of nothing goo that's not even going to make a significant anything on this planet, given the span of the planet itself. And even its date is numbered. His days are numbered. What am I that God should even consider me? Now listen to the difference between, well, this God I can't talk. We're all going to die anyway, so what the heck? Why try? And this guy saying, God is truly so magnificent and great and incredible and has treated me such. Why? I am probably the least deserving guy in the world. What am I that God would even consider me? And then he says, Lord, how can a man know all the faults he's committed in his life? You know, we do stuff back in childhood and adolescence and young adulthood. And half the time we don't even know what we're doing. We don't even know why we're doing it. We just do it because at the time it seemed okay. And then you get that beautiful phrase, Lord, remove any hidden faults from me. Inside and out. Deliberate or undeliberate. If there's anything that stands between you and me, Lord, reachable, remove it. Then the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart will be pleasing in your sight, blah, blah, blah. Remove the hidden faults. I don't think David saw God as unreachable. And he was just an idiot farm boy. But the King of Kings, the smartest guy in the world, claims God's unreachable, so why try? Well, maybe he's not the smartest guy in the world. Does he believe this? I think so at this point. He's still mulling it over. At first he didn't even believe in God. Now he's acknowledging God, which is a step in the right direction, but he's just saying, well, God's too great, too big, too holy, too powerful, and he doesn't give a hoot and a holler about me. Whereas he is disappointed in that kind of thinking, David was just amazed. Who am I that God should consider me? I mean, there's a lot of holier people than Tom Chanter on this planet. Not many, but there's a few. And if God's going to choose one, why didn't he choose them? Well, I'll give you an answer to that. Same reason the Pharisees asked the disciples and the apostles, why does your master eat with the ragged and nasty people? The harlots, the sinners, the tax collectors. Why does your master eat with those guys? Remember the answer? Jesus said, I've not come. A well person doesn't need a doctor. I've not come to save the healthy. I've come to call those that are sick, those that are dying, those that are perishing, those that are on their last strings, and to bring them home. Last Tuesday, God sealed 144,000, put them on this earth, even amidst the chaos which is starting to begin. Why would he do that? Knowing that all the righteous have already been pulled out. So all you got left is a planet full of yuck. Just, get your 9-iron out and be done with it. But God gives them time. He puts 144,000 priests down there, so to speak, to keep that opportunity alive right up until the last moment. But they will be pulled out. That's what God's talking about. He's not unreachable. He's closer to you than your next breath. He already knows the thoughts you're thinking right now. Hey, so do I. I am an incredible teacher. Good looking. Strong. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. I was on the wrong channel. I can't even teach 1 hour without screwing around, Jim. All right, so this is the whole thing. And this is, let me tell you something. This is part of the problem in modern Christianity. And it's not that people give it a whole lot of thought, but you couple this hand in hand. Before that is a need. You put the need up here. Without a need, you will never get anyone to even look up to see God or become aware of God. And if you can establish a need and get them to look up, then their next fail-safe is this. Well, God's too great, too big, too glorious. He doesn't care anything about me. He can't. And if he only knew my past, I would never make it into heaven. And all these excuses flood forth to say, the Lord's unreachable, so why should I try? And people wonder why in modern Christianity, why can't I get people to come to church? Why can't I get people to believe in God? Here's your answer right here. Because this is the common man's thinking. And by common, I don't mean lower in any sense. I just mean the vast majority think like this. Ask anybody on the street. Take a poll. You go and interview 100 people, let's say. 90 of them will acknowledge some kind of God. Or a greater power, whatever. 90 of the 100 will acknowledge it. The last 10 will be able to say, yeah, I've got a relationship with Christ. And out of those 10, only 3 will be practicing. And of those 3, only 1 will have a truly all or nothing relationship with God. Out of the 100 people. 90 will acknowledge a greater power. 1 or possibly 3 will have a relationship. That means the other 97 are going to knock and say, Lord, I've known who you are. And God's going to say, depart from me because I don't know you. 97 out of 100. And that's been pretty much human nature since back here in Genesis. Pretty much. 75% crop failure to 90% crop failure. Pretty sad. Why? Well, here's your answer right here. That's how most people think. You don't have a need for something, you're not going to pursue it. You're not going to eat lunch if you're not hungry, are you? You're not going to color your hair if your hair is perfect, are you? You're not going to go shopping for clothes if you're wearing zillion-dollar clothes already, are you? And here in the United States of abundance, that makes this even harder to see. Why do I need God? I got 2 cars, a great house, $500,000 mansion on Lake Howell. I got a beautiful wife. We're both working. We make, $500,000 a year. I got a dog that goes outside to go to the bathroom. Got 2 kids that are, 5.9s. What do I need to go to church for? That's a good question. No need, no church. Until cancer strikes. Oh, my wife's full of cancer, stage 9. And then suddenly it's, where's God? Tell him to fix my wife. Wow. There's a relationship in the making. I won't say God wouldn't use that situation. He will. But is that what it took to get you to look up? Is that what it took to get you to look beyond this idiocy here? Are we going to die? Yes, we're going to die on this earth. One day, all of us in this room will stop breathing, close our eyes, have the good sense, hopefully, to lay down and let people fuss over us. But that won't be the end of us, not according to God. On that day, I will come and take you there myself, that where I am, you may also be. Remember that little promise? That was a little juicy promise from the Last Supper. Wasn't an off-the-cuff comment Jesus made while getting a hot dog from a vendor on the street. He was sitting right there with the boys. Tension. And he said, guys, be not afraid. Don't look at this. There's so much more beyond it. In my Father's kingdom, there are incredible places you can't even begin to understand now. But it's real and it's there. And on that day, when you breathe your last, I'll be right there to take you. That where I am, I'll take you there myself. I like that personal pronoun. I will take you there myself. That where I am, you may also be. What do I need, God? Figure it out. All right? Dangerous chapter. He acknowledges God, but he doesn't see the effort God's made to reach him. So he considers God unreachable. Well, if he's unreachable, any effort toward that end will come to an end. Don't fall into that trap. God is more than reachable. In fact, he's come down 1 billion times, even in the person of a human being, to tell us, now you know. As Jesus said, you say you have eyes, but you don't see. You say you have ears, but you don't hear. And they said, well, we see. And then Jesus said, well, because you say you see, I say your sin remains. Because you're not seeing what you need to see. You're just seeing this. And that he's talking to the priests, the learned guys. Think about that. All right? That's all. Go away.